We had a little Purdue Twitter spat yesterday, if you can even call it that. I wouldn't call it a spat, actually. Let me take that word back. We had an entertaining back and forth between a former Purdue legend and a current Purdue star. Rafael Davis, who is one of my favorite college basketball media guys. He's an analyst with the Big Ten Network, and I think he does a great job as far as former players go covering the Big Ten and covering college basketball at large. I would put Rafael Davis up there with pretty much anybody. He knows his stuff. He studies. He's entertaining. He's insightful. I think he's great. Rafael Davis yesterday put a tweet out, kind of just a pretty out of nowhere tweet about Rutgers backcourt being the best backcourt in the conference. I don't think that's a crazy take. Dylan Harper and Jeremiah Williams, best two-man backcourt in the conference. Give them a 40% three-point shooter on the wing. Curtains, shrug emoji. I don't think that's crazy. Like I said, Rafael's probably working on his off-season prep, preseason build-up stuff, and probably just wanted to express, hey, these dudes are dogs. Dylan Harper's incredible. Rutgers is going to be really good. I got no problem with that. One guy who did have a problem with that is Purdue point guard Braden Smith, friend of the show. He quote tweets this tweet from Rafael, tags Fletcher Lawyer, and tweets the gasping emoji, though. Now, Braden is pretty notoriously not online. I mean, we were very lucky to get him on the NBA draft show, but Carter will tell you we had to beg. Like we chopped it up with Braden a little bit in person at the end of the season. Thought it'd be easy. Wasn't easy. Like he's just not the most responsive guy quickly. So for him to quickly jump all over this one, I think a former Purdue guy not putting faith in the Purdue guys kind of got under his skin a little bit. What do you make of this exchange, Brian?
I think there's that. I also think that this is some residual effect from last offseason too, where you and Carter in particular were very loud about the disrespect that Braden Smith was getting in the offseason, or the lack of respect he was getting in the offseason. And so now you go into another offseason where even if there is some merit to Rutgers potentially being better, like anytime you have a top 5 NBA draft pick in your backcourt, you can make the argument that your backcourt's the best of whatever. In the conference, one of the best in the country. You can make that argument. But from Braden Smith's standpoint, he's like, all right, took a team to the national championship game. I've been an all-conference player. Like, what more do I have to prove to you to show that I am one of the best guards in the country? And me and Fletcher Lawyer have been the starters of this backcourt for 2 years, back-to-back Big Ten champs, played a national championship game. Like, I understand him wanting to. He didn't. He came with an emoji, but come with your credentials. I think that's fair. I think that is fair, and I want to see that fire from Braden Smith. I'm happy about that because there is some question marks about, like, you don't have Zach Edey anymore. What does Purdue's offense look like? Are you going to be as impactful and as effective and productive? I think it's going to look a little bit different for Purdue. That does not mean I think they're bad. Not at all. But you go into Rutgers and you're like, oh, Dylan Harper is bleeping incredible. I know what Purdue is, and they're very good. There's a chance Rutgers could be better. I will listen to both cases, and I think that's fair. But I do like the fact that Braden Smith wanted to come in and say, like, guys, we run this right now.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, that was a bar from you. Come with your credentials. I got to use that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love it. Let me come with my credentials for a moment. That's a fire bar. Yeah, I'm very like, I feel a couple different ways about this, and they're kind of on opposite sides of this. From the Braden perspective, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. I want petty Braden. I want confident Braden. And maybe my favorite part about Braden's involvement in this is that Braden approached this from a tandem perspective with Fletcher, who, with all due respect, I think if we're saying Braden is sometimes forgotten and disrespected, Fletcher has been loudly forgotten and disrespected this offseason. Maybe not last offseason, but like following his 0-point performance in the national championship game, there has been a lot of people just being like, he's holding them back. Miles Colvin needs to take over, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of come in the middle of that too. Like, I'm not the biggest Fletcher believer. I don't think he's an all Big Ten guard ever. But I think he's a really good starting point guard who has been starting shooting guard who has been a big part of why Purdue has won so many games the last 2
Yeah.
seasons. And these two came in together as a tandem. They came in together as true freshmen. The whole narrative going into that season for Purdue was, what the hell is Painter doing? He didn't get any guards. And then a week into the season, they were torching Duke. So like I like that Braden and Fletcher seem to be keeping receipts, because there's a
Yes.
lot of receipts to go around between the two of them. And bottom line is, these dudes are winners and they've won together. And they had a relationship even in high school where, it was competitive. They were rivals in high school. And in the state of Indiana kids, Fletcher was perceived to be the better player for much of their high school careers. Braden won Mr. Basketball, and there was a little politicky stuff there. And then they both get to Purdue, and you could kind of see, maybe there's a feud, maybe there's jealousy between them. Not really. These two like got each other's backs and are here to continue running the league they've ran for 2 years. So I love it from Braden's perspective. I love that he's making sure this is Fletcher involved too, and it's not just him being petty. But at the same time, I think Rafe didn't do anything wrong here. Rafael Davis, like one of my biggest pet peeves in this whole space, you might feel the same, is when fans expect you to cover a team differently just because you have allegiance to it. Like I will not ever try to lie about how I feel about Michigan if just because they're Michigan, right? Like I'm sure there are times I have maize colored glasses because everybody sees things through that lens. But when things got bad for Michigan, like I wanted to express it loudly. I wanted to make it known what's going on here. And it seems like sometimes there's this expectation, whether it's from players or from just fans in general, that like, oh, Rafael Davis is our guy. So when he's working for the Big Ten Network, he's going to just be our propagandist. And the reality is Rutgers has a really good backcourt. Dylan Harper's going to be great. Jeremiah Williams is probably a better player than Fletcher on paper. And it's not a crazy take to believe that those guys are that. But I love that Braden thinks it is.
If Rafe said most talented instead of best, do you think there's the same conversation?
No.
I agree. But quite often we use those interchangeably, and it's not necessarily what we mean, right? Because you can take best as we win everything, or you can take best as like, I'm going top 5 in the NBA draft next year and probably going to be an NBA All-Star. That looks to be in my future.
You're right.
There are two different ways to take that, and it would not shock me if some of the way we talk about and think about best subjectively gets lost in translation in this. At the same time, he did nothing wrong. He said something that may actually come to be true. That's part of what I love about sports too, is that like we actually get to see it, and there's a scoreboard and there are records and ways to actually track this stuff. It's not like you're throwing crap at the wall and it doesn't matter. Like there's scoreboards to evaluate this. So we will find out who's actually the best, right? Who's actually the best. But from like the Purdue standpoint, I think you can be a Purdue guy. You can be a fan of whoever, alum for whoever, which Rafe obviously is and is beloved and has shown plenty of love for Purdue back, right? That's not a problem. You can be a fan of a team, and I know he's the analyst and all that, but we'll just say you can be a fan of a team and acknowledge that somebody else is really good too, right? I'm going to sit here. I'm a South Carolina alum. I try to be objective on the basketball side of things. I am not objective on the football side of things. I'm not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think South Carolina football is better than Georgia. I would love to. Trust me, I would love to. I've sat through Clemson and then Georgia going through dynasties back to back. That's not a good thing for me. But I don't have to pretend that South Carolina is better than Georgia to get this across. For me to say something's better, like your point on that is well taken. You don't have to be we're the best at every single thing, even if there's a debate to be had.
Yeah. And not even that, but like you also, I don't want to get to a point where our good media members, which Rafael is absolutely one of, like that, no disrespect. There are some media members I just don't think do a great job. There are plenty that do a fantastic job. Raphael is one that does a fantastic job. And I don't want our fantastic ones to have to be worried that they're going to upset people and change the way
Yeah.
they want to do their content or do their jobs, right? Like if Raphael wants to be promoting Rutgers because he thinks Rutgers is awesome, he should be doing that. That's good for the Big Ten. That's good for Rutgers. That's good for all of us. It helps me learn. But if he's going to get all this outlash from Purdue people, then maybe next time he thinks twice about it. I don't want to get to that point. So I don't know, just kind of interesting, like behind the scenes look into like how this is all a part of what we do on a day-to-day basis, Brian. Also, importantly, this is not the first time Raphael Davis has upset a petty Caucasian person who keeps receipts. Raphael Davis unfollowed me in the middle of last basketball season, and I'm still sad about it because I love Raphael. It's true.
I'm so sorry.
It's true. He does follow
I'm so sorry.
sleepers. He follows sleepers still and Carter, but he doesn't follow me anymore. I don't know what I did to piss
What did
him
you
off.
say?
I
What
don't
did you do?
know. I don't know. I'm so he might just think I stink. I don't know. I feel bad, Raphael, but I love you if this somehow makes its way back to you. Please follow
Flip
me.
it, tag him on Twitter, and peer pressure him.
Yeah, we can bully him a little bit, maybe. Final question. I can't believe we made it this far without asking this. Whose backcourt are you taking, Rutgers or Purdue's?
Rutgers.
Like, not too much hesitation on that.
Not too much hesitation. Not too much hesitation. No.
Can I get a little more elaborate? Is it because Dylan Harper's like incredible to you, or is it because
Yeah.
it's a big gap between?
I think if you match up Dylan Harper, Braden Smith, I'm taking Dylan Harper. If you match up Jeremiah against Fletcher, I'm taking Jeremiah.
Okay.
Now Braden is better than Jeremiah, but then you have a giant gap between Dylan Harper and Fletcher Lawyer.
I mean, it's not giant. It may be a gap, but
And that is not any way a slight against Braden Smith or Fletcher Lawyer. That is how strongly I feel about how good Dylan Harper is.
Okay. Yeah, the Dylan Harper stuff I'm fine with. Now I'm about to disrespect Jeremiah. I think Jeremiah is a better player than Fletcher. I think he's very good. He's also Jeremiah Williams.
Yeah.
Like what we're not gonna sit here and be like, there's this humongous gap between Jeremiah Williams and a dude who's won like 60 games.
No,
He's
not at
good.
all.
He's good. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fair opinion. Let me ask you this. Would you take Dylan Harper for next season over Tyler Kolek from last season?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
See, I thought I was going to get an auto no from you, and then I was going to push back and be like, you shouldn't take him over Braden then either, because that's who Braden is.
No, I think I don't have this number off the top of my head, but I think there probably isn't 3 guards I would take this year over Dylan Harper.
Wow. Okay.
I think he's top 3.
And if you feel that way, then you should absolutely take Rutgers. Like that just is what it is. Yeah, I'm taking Purdue because just point blank, I'm taking Braden and anybody with Braden. It just is what it is. I think he's that good. I think he's going to be that good. I think he's going to be the best point guard in the country this year. And I don't think Fletch is a slouch by any means. But if you are stack ranking the players here, to me, it goes Braden, then Harper, then Jeremiah, then Fletcher. But I got to rock with my guy. I think he's the best point guard in the country. You pair him with anybody decent, I would take him. And when we do at some point, we will do like a positional rankings thing. Purdue and Rutgers will be 1A and 1B in some order. It's very close here, but we'll have to have that debate again. Thanks, Raphael, for a fun little day of content. I enjoy this. Car, you know what I love about you?
That I'm handsome?
You're reliable. I can count on you. You know, honestly, you remind me of Aaron Henry a little bit. Remember when, like, you know, their back was against the wall, nothing was going right, and man just showed up every day. He didn't make excuses. There were no problems. There were just solutions.
Sounds like me.
That's you. And it also reminds me of Duncan Mechanical Solutions, because if you're looking for quality furnace repair, look no further than the heating and air experts that you can trust. Comfort and quality are their standard. They're an HVAC company that serves Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. Cart, remember when your basement almost exploded?
I remember when my basement almost exploded. I remember when my furnace itself was acting funny. I remember when my AC was acting funny. I wish I had Duncan in my back pocket. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere in northern Indiana or southern Michigan that hasn't been perfectly cool or perfectly warm, depending on when the day called for. And that's because of Duncan Mechanical Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor for the month of July. Shout out to Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to learn more.